Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and tonight we are back on the path to the Vanguard. And that can only mean one thing. We're at Tier 6, the King George V. So with that being said, let's look at our commander. We're running Azure Lane Nelson. If you guys are interested in the other commander builds that I personally use for the British line, check out the very first video in this playlist. It should be Path to the Vanguard Orion. And I go over all the different builds that I personally use. Okay? Nelson with Scharnhorst and Paolo de Revel. We are running Flammable Cannoneer. We are running Big 7, which is a big difference from our Queen Elizabeth and prior, because the King George is all about the HE, baby. And then we are going with the Marksmanship and Master Mechanic. And of course, we are running Fight Fire with Fire. We are fully upgraded. Let's double check. Yeah, we are running Aiming Systems Mod 1, Propulsion Mod 2, and we are running Target Acquisition Mod. We are fully upgraded, as you can see. We have 5 heals because of that Master Mechanic being at level 16, and we are running the Spotter Plane. We have the Community Contributor Flag and a random camo, the Type 2 camo, once again, for the incoming fire dispersion. Okay? Stats. You have 60,500 hit points with a 22% torpedo damage reduction. Main batteries, you've got 2 different types of turrets. You've got a 356mm 45 caliber Mark 7 twin gun. You have one of those over the front. I'm trying to think in my head how the ship is configured. It's a weird one. And then, of course, you have 2 356mm 45 caliber Mark 7 quad turrets. One at the front, one at the rear. Okay? So you can get 6 guns over the front, only 4 guns over the rear. Firing range is 17.2 kilometers, so not great. Reload time is 23.7 seconds with this build, which is kind of nice. The reason I like it, or I think that this is so dangerous, is because when people damage con, by the time you get reloaded, their damage con is already into cooldown, and you can set another fire. You'll see some of that as we get into it. 180-degree turn time is not good at 45 seconds, but that is solely because of the Big 7 perk that we are running. HE shell maximum damage is 7,000 with 41% chance to set fire, which is fantastic. AP shell maximum damage is 12,180, but you're not going to be using the AP very often. Now, when I did the meet in this ship, I used a lot of AP. I don't think that is necessarily the way to play it anymore. With Azure Lane Nelson and that Big 7 ability, HE is by far the best choice at anything. Doesn't matter. Secondaries, 134mm 50 caliber Mark 1s. You have 16 of those that reach out to 5.2 kilometers, reload in 6.7 seconds, do 1900 maximum HE shell damage, and have an 8% chance to set fire. AA defense is not particularly good for a battleship. You have 14 20mm Oerlikons that do 50 damage per second and reach out to 2 kilometers. Then you have 8 20mm Oerlikon Mark 5s that do 24 damage per second and reach out to 2 kilometers. Then you have the 40mm 39 caliber QF Mark 7s that you have 8 of. They do 26 damage per second and reach out to 2.5 kilometers. And then you have the 40mm 39 caliber QF Mark 8s that you have 48 of that do 119 damage per second and reach out to 2.5 kilometers. Now, I don't know what that stacks up as far as other Tier 6 battleships. I know against the Tier 7s, like the Iowas and the Jean Barts and stuff, it's not good. But, I mean, you know, I haven't really gone up against too many planes that are coming after me. So I can't really speak to that. Most of the time, they just leave me alone in the King George for some reason. Maneuverability. Maximum speed of 28 knots with this build, and a turning circle radius of 790 meters, which is good but not great. It's pretty good. Rudder shift time of 15.7 is a little bit on the slower side, but still not bad. Concealment, detectability by sea is 14.5 kilometers with an 11.6 kilometers detectability by air. 2 is always guaranteed, and the 12.5 kilometer smoke firing penalty. Looking at our armor, you can see there's quite a problem here, and that is that you have basically no armor on the bow of the ship. 25 millimeters of plating. This is normal for most Tier 6 battleships, but what this means is you can be overmatched by 15-inch guns and above. So anything with 15-inch guns and higher can go right through the bow of this ship. So you definitely want to, once again, let people see the side of your ship, make them feel comfortable at shooting at that belt armor, and you will be just fine. Get rid of that. And we look at the Citadel, and as you can see, the Citadel is a submerged Citadel. You're not likely to be Citadel'd very often in this unless it's at range with plunging fire coming through the deck. Other than that, you're probably not going to be Citadel'd. That being said, you can and will be punched in the mouth because it's not particularly the best armor in the world. The belt armor is not bad, but as you guys saw with the belt, if we put the belt, oopsie, there we go. We put that belt armor back up, you can see that while it does have decent belt armor, it doesn't go all the way to the deck, so you get a lot of penetrations from a little bit higher up that can do some damage to you. Alright, so with that being said, let's move forward. Superior HE penetration. We've talked about this the entire way, but this is the one time that it's going to come in the most handy. Because you get a gun nerf, essentially, coming from the Queen Elizabeth's 15-inch guns that are fantastic, and you go to the King George's little tiny guns that aren't as good, you end up using the HE more, especially with the Azure Lane Nelson Commander. So having that extra penetration is huge, and you're going to see that coming in handy when we start punching people in the mouth for 12 to 15,000 damage and setting fires. It's going to be great. Pyromania, above average chance for HE shells to cause fire. We already talked about that as well. The downside, modest guns. This ship is armed with low caliber main battery guns. And yeah, that's what we've already talked about as well. King George V, the lead ship of a series of next generation battleships for the Royal Navy. She was superior to her predecessors in terms of armor protection and AA capabilities. This battleship was equipped with aircraft handling gear, which people brought up to me in the last one, that when they say aircraft handling gear, they literally mean that it has a catapult and a crane to launch fighters, as you can see right there in the midship. So, you know, I was wrong. Due to international armament restrictions, the ship's main guns had a relatively small caliber of 356 millimeters, which I believe are 14-inch guns, right? So 356 is 14-inch guns. Entered service in 1940. There were 5 of them in the series. So let's take a look at her. She's a good-looking ship, as I've said all along. Most battleships in this game are pretty solid-looking ships. The only ones that are kind of odd-looking are the Russians, and they're not odd-looking because of the fact that they're ugly. They just have a lot of guns at weird spots on the ship, so it just gives it a weird profile. But, classic British battleship. It's good-looking. It's got good lines. So let's get into this video. Alrighty, so we're going to be on Northern Waters, and we are in the King George. Now this map is kind of perfect for the King George, just due to the fact that you tend to have a lot of people that like to try to hold a specific spot on the map. The map's not a particularly large map, so your lack of range compared to other battleships isn't really that big of a deal. And it allows you to have plenty of room out here in the open waters to maneuver your ship and get your guns on target. So yeah, I think you guys are going to enjoy this. We're going to have ourselves quite a fun match here in the King George. And I believe we don't fire anything but high explosive in this match. So yeah, keep an eye on that damage count as we get towards the end of the match. But yeah, first things first. What do we do, guys? We win our side, right? Or at least try to win our side. So we're going to push forward to the left. Now this is a Gneisno on my left, and we don't want to push past him. He is the tank. He is the guy that's got torpedoes. We want him to be at the front. This Getty next to us is actually going to go into the inside of Alpha, which I don't necessarily hate, but when you see the other destroyer coming to the inside of Alpha, maybe decide to go around the backside. In the end, it's going to be inconsequential, but it's just something that you might want to keep an eye on. But, again, he does go straight into the base, which, you know, I don't hate. King George spotted right off the bat, broadside in range, so we're going to go ahead and take that shot. And this is the thing about this ship. Like, look at this accuracy, right? We're at maximum range for this ship, and we land multiple shells and get a fire right off the bat. And that was 5,000 damage plus a fire. Now, he doesn't damage con it immediately, but as soon as he gets behind the island there and he doesn't think he's going to get shot anymore, he does damage con. Unfortunately, I don't have a way to shoot him again. You want to keep an eye out for when people are damage conning in any ship that's a fire spammer, okay? You want to take full advantage of people DCing early, okay? And that, by early, I mean literally anybody who DCs a single fire. Or a double fire, because you get a double fire in a first salvo or something like that. When you get those triggered DCs, you've got to make them pay. That's how you capitalize on these fire spammers. And the King George is basically a mini Conqueror. It may not quite have as good a heal as the Conqueror, but it does get 5 heals. It doesn't hit quite as hard as the Conqueror, but it can. I've hit people for 15k plus set a fire or two in a salvo. So, and that's battleships. Like, I've citadeled cruisers. I've triple citadeled a cruiser, what was it, it was an Italian cruiser. Charged me point blank on Sea of Fortune. And I triple citadeled him with HE from the front guns. So, the HE on this is nasty. As you see, we reach out, touch him. We do shatter 4 rounds, but we get a fire on him. Jervis comes out. He's setting a smoke screen for a battleship. I know, right? Thoughts? I don't understand it either. But he's setting a smoke screen for a battleship who's firing his guns and is like 6 kilometers from the nearest person, so he's not going to be able to disappear. And then he outruns the smoke, so I get to shoot at him, and we just smash him. He's lucky to not be just flat out removed right there. We get 4 penetrations, 2 fires. That's an insta damage con. Our Gneisno, unfortunately, is going to run into a couple torpedoes here, I think, or at least get smashed by those battleships. And Jervis is continuing to fire his guns, which I guess if that's what you want to do. But as soon as we go to fire the guns, he actually turns in, so he's not going to get smashed again. But he does get hit. We get 1 penetration, 1 fire. And that's going to burn for a little while. Unfortunately for destroyers and cruisers, they have the fast firing damage control, so not as big a deal for him. But these battleships out here are just sitting here broadside to me. I could switch to HE or AP here and get some good results off these guys, but I also wanted to just showcase just how nasty. That was 10,000 damage plus a fire. All right, that's how nasty this thing is. Argonized goes down immediately. You can see I've already started my turn out. You can see I'm planning my escape here to try to keep as much distance between me and them as possible. Limit how much they can do to me. We get another shot out. We get an immediate damage, or he damage con the first fires, and we get an immediate fire again. So we've got King George with a single permafire. And of course, permafire isn't necessarily permanent. It just means that he damage conned, and we've got his damage con on cooldown. Now we've got a fire for the duration of his cooldown. So that's why we call them permanent fires. Okay? And we fire the guns at him again, and we get another fire. So now we've got him on 2 fires until his damage con comes back. So that's going to massively take away from his hit points. So now we're turning fully away. We've still got 4 guns over the rear with a single rear quad turret. So we take the shot at the Synop here. We know that the Gneisno's over there in the Alpha cap. He's coming towards us, so we're keeping an eye on him. We are kind of broadside to him right now, but you can see he's not really shooting at us, so I'm not too worried about him. Now, with that being said, we are trying to rotate our front guns around so that we can shoot at these guys. And we're going to just try to get rid of this King George. We know that the King George has the ability to heal quite a bit, especially if he's a Nelson build or a Charles Madden build. He could have those 5 heals. We want to get rid of him. So we're just going to keep smashing them. We get 3 penetrations with HE there, and we're trying to get the rear guns around to, or the front guns around so that we can actually hit them. You can see that both the King George and the Fuso are shooting HE at me, which is kind of funny. But King George, I understand. Fuso, that makes no sense. Unless he's got the Fuso commander, in which case he's, I guess, got a reason to do it, but I wouldn't recommend it. But King George, we leave him with just enough as usual. He has damage conned, and I believe our Kotsky either gets a torpedo on him or gets a fire on him. There you can see the fire. And that's going to end up killing him. I try to aim ahead. I was like, I think the King George is dead. Then I'm kind of like, well, I kind of want my arsonist, so we'll go ahead and take the shot. And, of course, he's actually going to die before my shells get there. It is what it is. I was just hoping for that arsonist medal. But down he goes. Akatsuki gets the finish.
All stations, concentrate fire on the target.
Gneisno over here. Now, keep in mind, our Akatsuki that did get the kill died because of it. Was it worth it? Probably not. He should have probably kept himself alive. This game's going to come down to the wire. You can see I was looking at the Gneisno. Clearly, he was going to take torpedoes, so didn't need to shoot him. I don't really have a shot at the Fuso currently. I'm lining him up. We're about to get into a gap in the island, and we take the shot over the island. You can see we're going to lose a couple rounds to the little gap, or the little peak, but we do get through. We managed to set a fire, get 4 penetrations. Again, just showcasing how nasty this thing is. The King George is no freaking joke, guys. You cannot let a King George just sit here and farm you. If you do, you're going to have a real bad time. Because unlike cruisers, you know, the King George can hit you for like 10k and get fires every time he fires at you. So you definitely want to deal with the King George as quickly as possible as we set another permanent fire. He just damage conned the fire that we got initially over the mountain, so we know that we just got another permanent fire. The Sinop over there manages to get a good penetration on the Fuso as well. And you can see we're aiming at the bow. I'm trying to showcase just how nasty these HE rounds can be just by shooting the ship. Like, I'm not even worried about... I'm also trying to get a fire on the bow, but you can see, like, 2,300 damage on two HE penetrations. Like, it's not bad. It's not bad at all on a bow-tanking battleship. He turns broadside to the Sinop. The Sinop makes him pay for it. You can see that the cruiser's farming him pretty good as well. He's coming towards us at a bit of an angle. And we are going to get the kill here with our fire that we set on him. But notice I'm already heading back across the map. We have one battleship out here that's taking on 2 ships currently. It is a Nagato. And if you look, I looked at his health, I believe, just to see how much health he's got right there. You can see I'm just checking his health. I know he's going to go down. We see that there is a cruiser headed back. We saw that it was a York that actually finished off the Nagato, I believe. So we know that the York and the Colorado are over here, and that means that the Dallas is headed back to defend the base. Right now, this is still anybody's ballgame. It's a 3v4. Our Sinop is so far out of play that he's actually useless for a long time here. Our cruiser's here somewheres. And our destroyer is going over to do the right thing, but he's got to pay attention that Dallas is coming over to intercept him. So he's got to be careful. I'm going to keep pushing because I like my odds. I'm in a King George. I've still got 2 full heals. I've got the majority of my health, and I've got the ability to really punch both of these guys in the mouth. A Colorado, very slow, very large target, lots of surface area for my shells to hit and do damage. And the York, same sort of deal for a cruiser. It's a very large cruiser, very easy to hit, and these HE shells absolutely smash cruisers. Now, I could have potentially loaded AP on this cruiser. I believe I might actually do that, now that I think about it. I think I do load AP on the cruiser. But the AP is good, especially against getting rid of cruisers. But honestly, the HE is just better in most situations due to the fact that the damage over time. Colorado takes a shot at us. We do manage to turn out. His shells disperse beautifully to avoid us, which is nice. We'll attribute that to the camo. York starts firing at us. We fire at the Colorado, and we absolutely smash him, getting 4 penetrations and a fire. And guess what? Just like everybody else we've fought, he damage cons a single fire. Okay? I don't know why, but everybody seems to want to not learn the lesson about damage conning a single fire. Now, he gets a couple good hits on us here. Nothing too bad. But we immediately give him another fire. Immediate. We're not damage conning our own fire because the York is still firing HE at us. So I'm assuming that we're going to be set on fire again very quickly because the York actually has an increased fire chance, I believe, compared to other cruisers. The Colorado is now bow tanking us, which is actually perfect for me because we've already set the fire on the rear of his ship. It's time to set fires towards the front. And sure enough, we get another fire and our high caliber with 5 penetrations. We're up to 117,000 damage done. There's the second fire. We're going to go ahead and DC that. And now we're going to look at this York who's going broadside to us, and we're going to try to hit him with our HE and see how he likes it. We've got the Colorado burning twice. He's going to be burning for a while, and you can see we do quite a bit of damage there. Not as much as you'd hope. We only got like a couple penetrations, but we did get the fire. So he immediately damage cons again. So what happens? Well, he damage conned. We're going to try to hit him. You can see the Colorado has actually started shooting HE at me as well. Here we fire the HE back at the York, and we get another fire. So you can see the fire chance from the King George is so ridiculous that you are almost guaranteed a fire every time you shoot. Almost guaranteed. Now he gets us double fired, and he keeps shooting us with HE. Now, with the new fire control perk that we've already talked about, or not fire control, fight fire with fire, he's actually going to get a third fire, and it immediately triggers my damage con. Because my damage con is on cooldown, so that is going to do it for him. We're going to be able to finish him off here. And then we're able to take on this Colorado, which again, this guy has switched to firing HE at me, which is hilarious. Like, why in a Colorado would you ever fire HE at another battleship that's broadside on? I've been mostly broadside to him this whole time. If he actually could aim his shells and fired HE or AP, he would do significantly more damage. Yes, that shot was horrible, by the way, from me. Like, I don't know what I did wrong there. I think I like pushed up as I was firing, but we're not going to make that same mistake twice. Sinop managed to get a little bit of damage here before he goes away, but it doesn't matter because at the end of the day, this Colorado's dead. There's nothing he can do about it. We finish him off, finishing with over 147,000 damage done. I felt like this was a pretty good showcase of this ship. You want to keep your distance as best you can. You want to limit, pay attention to other people's damage cons and make them pay for it. Fireproof Dreadnought High Cal. I believe we're top of the leaderboard here, but 2,755 base XP right there. So if you like what I'm doing, punch the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.